Hello, welcome to the Film for Fans podcast, your home for movie news, views, and movie fan views. I said the views twice. Oh man, I'm screwing up the intro. I forgot to add reviews in there. Man, okay. We're off to a great start on this podcast. All right, Movie Fans is your podcast from movie fans for movie fans.
Film for fans.
Film for fans. Film for fans.
Having a rough go so far.
I am your host, Ryan Dunlevy, and I'm joined once again by my co-host, Rob Duhnam.
I'm also the proofreader, in case you didn't figure that out yet.
Yes.
Wearing the FC Cincinnati jersey tonight, by the way.
Nice.
Got a new one, so orange is my favorite color, so pretty happy.
I have my Tottenham jersey on, but I wore that to play soccer, so I didn't feel like wearing that on the podcast.
Yeah, we don't want to see all the sweatiness of that.
No, that's not good for anyone. All right, we got a great show for you that's not filled with soccer and sweatiness. So it's gonna be a good one. We are gonna look back a little bit and remember Chadwick Boseman. We're gonna talk about Tenet and break that down, and we're going to play the game of sequels, and of course our watch list. So, Rob, let's get started here, and we have to kick it off on the somber note of the death of Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman passed away about a week and a half ago, and he was only 43 years old, and the star of many movies, probably most famous for his role as Black Panther, but also 42 and 21 Bridges, and a number of other really, really good films. So, Rob, this kind of caught you by surprise.
Yeah, I was in the middle of playing Halo with a couple of friends, and one of the friends said over the microphone, "The Panther is dead." And I didn't know what he meant. And I said, "Black Panther?" Like, incredulously. And I minimized the window and looked up his name. It was the only thing I could think of, and I was shocked when I saw that's what it was, and I was even more shocked that it was not something sudden like a car accident or something else, that it was something that had been going on for several years that he had kept under wraps. I saw that even Ryan Coogler, who directed Black Panther and was one of his best friends, didn't even know that he was dealing with this, and just incredible, really, that he was able to maintain such a strong persona in his acting while this was going on.
Yeah, it's really unbelievable to think about everything he did while having cancer, and to be able to keep up the schedule he kept. And just in a world where everything about celebrities is out there, whether we want to know it or not, everything is out there. For him to have that, to keep that to himself and just to continue to fight that fight, and do it outside the public eye, there just takes a tremendous amount of courage. I'm hoping he had enough support. Considering a lot of people did not know about it, I hope he had enough support and people along with him. But yeah, it's so rare that something like this happens and nobody had a clue.
Yeah, it's just it's really humbling to see the things that he did while fighting this disease, going to children's hospitals and meeting kids who had cancer themselves and being strong for them while he was fighting it himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, like you said, he's been he was in several important roles. He played Jackie Robinson. He played James Brown. Played Thurgood Marshall. But Black Panther was obviously what he'll be remembered for, and really was a cultural touchstone. I think there's a large segment of the population that would have no engagement with what's going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe without that performance. And I don't know about you, but when I think about what that performance meant for that franchise, one that we are both really big fans of, I remember maybe my initial impression walking away from seeing that movie was that more than any of the other movies in the series, it felt completely genuine to me. It didn't feel overacted. It just felt like he was that person.
Mm-hmm.
I think how he carried himself through this really demonstrates that that was true. It wasn't just something that I thought I saw on the screen. It was something that he was living out in his own life.
Yeah, and it brings up the fact that he was just a fantastic actor. Um, you know, his role as Jackie Robinson was fantastic. I mean, that was such a well done movie. And, you know, it's difficult to play such an iconic figure. And he did it. He did it amazingly. And he did it with agility. And he did it. I mean, you really got the sense of who Jackie Robinson was. I mean, I've read about Jackie Robinson, and being able to see Jackie Robinson on screen through Boseman, it really rang true to what I've read about Jackie Robinson. And so he really was a fantastic actor, and he's going to be missed for sure.
I mean, I don't know if you had a chance to catch it or not, but ABC showed the entire movie commercial free a couple days after he passed away, and they had a special on afterwards, an hour-long special celebrating his life, and just tribute after tribute from the people that he worked with in the Marvel movies. You could tell that he impacted a lot of those people in a very deep way with a very small amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so he's certainly gone too soon, and the movie universe and the Marvel universe will not be the same without him, and he will be missed by everyone who watched his movies, and especially those who knew him personally. So it's a shame. All right, well, to happier news, we'll move on to yesterday, the trailer for the new Dune movie dropped. So this was a long-awaited trailer. The update of Dune, done by Denis Villeneuve, who was the director of Blade Runner 2049, Arrival, and a number of other really fantastic movies. And this was very highly anticipated. Rob, did you get a chance to see the trailer?
I did see the trailer, and I'm gonna maybe lose all my geek credentials that I have built up over the years by saying that I have never seen or read any of the previous adaptations of Dune, so I'm coming into this as a blank slate. I know that there are a lot of people who are very into this source material with this universe, and very excited / nervous about what might come out with these movies, because there have been attempts before that have been viewed as not the best. And I have to say that, you know, coming from a place of ignorance, that the trailer looked pretty spectacular. Whether that will align with what people's visions are of how it should look on the screen, I guess we'll find out. And I had said to Ryan before we saw the movie Tenet, the trailer, the teaser to the trailer, not the actual trailer, just a commercial basically saying "watch the trailer," which I thought was interesting. It'll be interesting to see how the regular audience engages with this movie, because there are many hardcore fans who are over the moon about this coming out. Then I think there are a lot of casual people who have no idea what Dune is and have never heard of it. So it'll be interesting to see how it connects to the general audience.
Yeah, I agree with that take, because when I watched the trailer, I could definitely see influences from Blade Runner 2049. Some of the way the scenes look, some of the background settings. just the cinematography, there were definitely some hints of Blade Runner 2049 in there. And that was an absolutely fantastic movie that not enough people paid attention to. And so it will be curious to see if Dune just speaks to the geeks or if Dune can get a wider appeal. I think it looks fantastic. That scene with the main character putting his hand in the box and the priestess woman holding a poison dart next to his neck, that's engaging right there. I mean, the tension in that moment just in the trailer was obvious. So I think there's a lot of potential. It's got so many big name actors in it.
Oh yeah, this a trailer unfolded. I just kept on saying, "Oh look, they're in this. Oh my, he's in this. She's in this," over and over again.
Yeah, I wonder if Dave Bautista is going to be in all Dennis Villeneuve's movies, kind of like Michael Caine is in all of Christopher Nolan's movies. I wonder.
You say Dave Bautista was in the trailer, but I don't think I saw him.
I did.
No, I don't think I saw him.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
A little slow on that one.
Yeah.
It flew right over your head.
Yeah. So the trailer looks fantastic. I look forward to the movie. I think it's going to be definitely one that you're going to want to see. Any other comments on Dune?
I'm excited to see it, and as someone who doesn't know a whole lot about it, I think that means that the trailer did this job.
Yeah, I am. I've not read the Dune. I've not read the book, so I might check that out here too.
Yeah, I might need to do that before I see the movie.
Yeah. Okay. So upcoming in theaters this week, we'll do a little bit of a segment on that each week now that movies are back. So not a lot coming out this week. We have I Am Woman and Broken Hearts Gallery.
Woo!
Any interest there, Rob?
I'm actually going to go off the board, and I didn't even tell you about this, but There is a movie coming out next Wednesday that is a limited release, so you may not have seen the info about it, but a movie called The Secrets We Keep is coming out next Wednesday, and I looked it up, and it's coming out in Penn Cinema, and I'm going to see it. It is a movie about woman who went through World War II as a Jewish woman with her family being persecuted, and it turns out 15 years later that she becomes convinced that her next door neighbor is the Nazi soldier who tortured her entire family. And she kidnaps him and tortures him.
Interesting.
So it just seems like a really interesting premise, very emotional, and I love movies like along that line. When I saw the trailer, I was hooked instantly. The one thing that stood out to me most in the trailer, it was haunting, that it shows that the first time she gets this feeling is she hears the guy whistling for his dog in the park, and it shows her have a flashback of hearing the same whistle as her and her family are huddled in their tent hiding from the Nazis. And it was just incredibly powerful, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm really glad that it's going to be showing at Penn Cinema because it is a limited release. It's actually releasing on digital the same day, and it's in a couple hundred theaters across the country just for a few days as well.
Oh, that's cool that we got one near our local area.
So The Secrets We Keep is the name of the movie.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
How about you? Do you have any interest in those other two that are coming out?
I'll be honest, I don't. I mean, I'm hard up for new movies, so we'll see. But it didn't speak to me.
There are a couple movies that have been out now for a week that I am hoping to have a chance to go see.
Yeah.
This week. We'll get to that when we get to our watch list segment a little later on.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's what's coming out in theaters. Also, check out the ones that have been out: Tenet, New Mutants, Bill and Ted, and those sorts of things. So let's move on to our discussion item. And in the wake of the passing of Chadwick Boseman, this really has some big effects on the Marvel universe. So a question I want to ask you is, what does his death mean for Marvel and specifically for Black Panther? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I want to say it's really difficult to talk about this because I don't know when the right time is to even go there. We certainly don't want to, by any means, make light of what happened or show any disrespect to Chadwick by discussing this. And I just want everyone to know it's not our intention with what we're talking about right now. But it will have a massive impact on what's going forward. I mean, obviously, we didn't have all the details released about what Marvel was planning on doing. We know about a few of the movies that are coming, but it seemed as if Chadwick and Tom Holland were going to be the main figureheads of this next round of Marvel movies. And in fact, for a little while, it looked like it might be all Black Panther because Tom Holland was rumored to be on his way out because of issues between the studios holding Spider-Man's rights. But yeah, I think it makes there's a massive shift now in what Marvel does, and the question is, do they replace his character? There was already a Black Panther sequel that was going to be done. Do they find someone else to play him? Do they splice together old footage and use technology to build a whole movie around him? I don't know if that's possible. We've seen small bits and pieces in the newer Star Wars movies and some other things of actors being recreated. It can be effective. I think of the scenes with Grand Moff Tarkin in the new Star Wars movies. I was absolutely blown away because I thought Peter Cushing was somehow alive again on the screen in front of me. But it would be hard to do that for a whole movie. I don't know if it's something they'd even consider, or even thinking about respecting him if it's something they would even want to try. So there's a lot of questions to be answered, and I know you asked me the question, but I don't really have those answers because I feel like the whole direction artistically they were going in has to change.
Yeah, I think for me personally, I think most likely the way they end up going is they end up basically writing in another character who will take the place of T'Challa, who will basically take the leadership mantle. I don't know if it comes from one of the existing characters from the Black Panther universe, from that part of the Marvel universe, or if it's an outside character that they bring in. But my thought is, I think it would be too difficult to replace him with another actor who is Black Panther. I almost think that you're going to have to create another character to come in and kind of take that place. And maybe you do a scene where, like, I don't know how you rewrite it so that I don't know if you want to write a death scene for Black Panther, because that I don't know that that's the direction to go, but somehow have him head off in some other direction. Or you know, kind of like they did with the Fast and Furious movies, they're just kind of say, hey, he's staying home with his family and we're not going to bother him. However you do it, I think it's probably comes down to creating another character to come in. I have no idea how you can do that and still have the gravitas that Boseman had as Black Panther. So I don't know what it means. I mean, I think that's going to be a huge issue because they just don't have as many characters, especially as big time characters anymore.
I mean, I'm glad that I don't have to make those decisions or think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and we'll see. I mean, it is too early for them to make any actual decisions on that. And we have no idea if they even started filming on the second Black Panther movie or if they did what was done. So it remains to be seen, but it's a big, big question mark facing the Marvel universe. All right. Rob, you want to play a game?
That's ominous, but I think that I will be willing to give it a go.
All right. So with some of the movies that have been out and some of the movies coming out, particularly Bill and Ted and some of the other movies along that lines, we thought we would play a little game, and it's called the game of sequels. So what we'll do is, and I believe Rob has some to ask me as well, but we'll start by giving you two movies who had a reasonably long time between the original movie and the sequel, and then you have to guess how long in between. So if we were to say like the original, like Return of the Jedi and the Phantom Menace, then you would have to guess how many years between. So are you up for it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Do we want to alternate back and forth?
How many do you have? Because I have two.
I can do 3 or 4.
Let's do 3. You start with 1, I'll go 1, we just go back and forth then.
All right, sounds good. Okay. First one, Tron and Tron Legacy. How long between Tron and Tron Legacy?
I am going to guess 23 years.
Okay, close. Sort of. 29.
Okay.
29 years. Yeah, 29 years difference.
Wow. What year did Tron Legacy come out in?
Tron Legacy was 2010.
And so that would make the original one 1981?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in my head I was thinking 1985 for some reason. So yeah, I was a bit off there. All right. I've got one for you. The Mask and Son of the Mask.
Oh. I'm trying to remember when Son of the Mask came out.
It was not very memorable, so that's why it's a little tricky.
I'm gonna go 13 years.
Close. 11 years.
Ah, man. Okay.
1994 and 2005.
Okay. All right. So the next one, the next one for you is Blade Runner 2049.
Okay, let me see here. This is close to the other one I said too. I think it is 26 years.
More than that. 35.
Yeah, I'm thinking wrong decades. That's why I'm messing myself up.
Yeah, Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner was 1982.
Yes, yeah, I did. That's exactly what I did. I didn't math well because these decades are really screwing with my mind right now as I get older. I was thinking 1982 and 2018, so that means I was off by a year.
Okay.
So it was 2017?
Yes, 2017.
Okay. Well, yeah, so what I meant to say was 36, not 26. All right. This one's a little unfair, but I don't care.
Right.
The original Toy Story and Toy Story 4.
All right, so the original Toy Story, I think was 1995, if I'm not mistaken. The Toy Story 4, I think, was 2018. So that's what, 23 years?
You're close. The Toy Story 4 is 2019. You're off by 1 year.
All right.
So 24 years.
Okay.
And what's the last one you got for me?
Dumb and Dumber 2.
Oh gosh. I still don't think I've even watched Dumb and Dumber 2.
You're really not missing anything. It was not worth making, really.
But Dumb and Dumber, did it come out in 1996? Close. I know it came out in the 90s. I'm gonna guess. Man, I really don't know when Dumb and Dumber 2 came out because I didn't watch it. I'm gonna guess 18 years.
Close. It was 20.
Okay.
20 or 1994 to 2014.
Okay.
Yep, 20-year difference between them.
Yeah. So in my head, I had the right end date because I was thinking 96 to 14 instead of 94 to 14. But I think we did pretty decently there.
Yeah, that's not too bad. It's not too bad given the state, and of course the impetus for this one was Bill and Ted Face the Music, and so the difference between the first Bill and Ted, 1989 to 2020, so 31 years on that one.
All right, what do we got next?
Okay, so now we move on to the watch list, and we review movies we saw last week, and so. This has to begin and end with Tenet.
And he is not saying Tenant, in case you are thinking
Tenet.
that. He was trying to say Tenet.
Tenet. I have been told that I do not pronounce this in a clear and articulate manner.
You should just call it the T movie and just get on with it.
Tenet.
So where are we starting with this? Because there is a lot to talk about.
So let's start with this. Your initial watch, the initial impressions, feel, and general thought. Just your general impressions having seen the movie the first time.
I think I can sum it up in one word, and this is not an insult. The word is confusion. And I'm like, that's a good thing, actually, in my opinion. I feel like I need to I told my brother I feel like I need to watch that movie 20 more times before I can fully grasp what happened. I've still only seen it the once, and I definitely need to see it several more times before I get all the intricacies of it, and I don't know if I ever will, honestly. But we had talked before about how Christopher Nolan makes these kind of movies without dumbing it down for his audience, and I think we definitely saw that on display in this movie, because there was no there were some hints here and there, but there was no expositional character speech explaining every single in and out and inner working of what was going on. Like, it just kind of happened in front of you. So yeah. What how about you?
So the first thing that struck me was just the audacity of the project. It was incredibly intense. The pacing was just ridiculous. The first hour of the movie just flies by, with barely a moment to breathe in it. You're just running from scene to scene to scene, and they're just dropping little hints as to what's going on along the way. And the first time I saw it, I've seen it twice now. The first time I saw it was in IMAX, and the sound in IMAX is just so overpowering. Like, it's just boom, it's right in your face. The soundtrack is pulsating. The soundtrack is blasting at you. And it's just unbelievably intense. It moves very quickly. And you're right, there is a tremendous amount of confusion because he's introducing a brand new concept. And small spoiler, called temporal inversion. And it's just, you're trying to figure out what is going on and how things are going. But you're engaged the whole time. Even if you don't understand what's going on, you're engaged. And so.
It literally starts with I don't think this gives too much away, but it starts with the siege of an opera house. And going into it, if you know a little bit about the general concept of the movie, like you said, temporal inversion, messing around with time, as you're watching that opening scene, like, at least in my mind, the first time I watched it, I was like, am I even really seeing what I think I'm seeing right now? Like, is it going to be completely different later on? Like, do I even trust what I'm seeing with my own eyes? But I really like that it just started that way. Like, he drops you right into action at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. So, we talk a lot about, this was not one of the things that Nolan has been criticized for in the past. And I don't necessarily agree with the criticism, but like on movies like Inception or movies like Interstellar, how he spends a lot of time on screen trying to explain what is happening. That is not the case with Tenet. He certainly does not do that with Tenet. He can't be accused of that for this movie. So what did you make of the fact that even by the time on first watching, by the time you get to the end of it, you're still a little confused about it? How do you feel about that?
I think for some people it's going to be frustrating because some people like to go to the theater just to shut their mind off and have something spoon-fed to them. Or, I mean, that maybe I shouldn't say it that way. That's kind of insulting. But some people like to go to the movies to not have to think, and that's okay. So some people may walk away from it feeling the same way that some people felt at the end of Castaway or at the end of Inception, where they were frustrated because they didn't know exactly what happened at the end and had to figure out themselves. And that might annoy some people. For me, the way it ended just excited me about wanting to see it again and the potential of where the story is going if there's more coming of it. And I don't want to give away why I think that might happen, but I think you walk away with that feeling if you see the movie.
Yeah, I think one of the questions this movie in particular brought up with me was, how much do we value the initial watch experience versus how you eventually view a film in time? Because I think if your whole goal was to go to a movie and completely get it and completely understand it and have the whole thing in place in one viewing, you're going to be disappointed with this movie. I think if that's your goal. If your goal is that you want something that that's going to be able to last, that you're going to want to come back to again and again and again, and that the more you pay attention to it, the more you pick up on it, kind of like a really good book, how you learn something different about it every time. That's a whole different kind of art, and that's a whole different kind of movie. And I've seen it twice now, and the second time I saw it, I loved it so much more because I understood it more and I picked up more, and there were more things I picked up on. And I felt that way about some of Nolan's previous movies. And I think he's just pushed that concept to the next level where you're not meant to get everything on the first viewing. And I think that's a whole different way of doing movies that we're not used to seeing.
I think if we can compare it to television, obviously we're talking about movies here, not TV, but if you look at some of the themes and just ideas and thought processes behind how it was written, I would compare to a couple shows, Fringe and Lost, in that you don't necessarily see everything by looking at the surface. Sometimes you have to watch it again and look a little deeper or talk about it. Like there's so much in those two shows that was discovered by people discussing it after they watched it, which is completely different than having it just on the screen for you and being told everything. And I feel like this movie is very much the same in that way of thinking.
Yeah, and I think what he has created is so dense and so complex that it just takes time. It just takes time for your mind to wrap around it and time to pick up on things. And with the limited scope of a movie time, like even Nolan's movies tend to run longer, like 2.5 hour, 2:45 range, things along that line. Even within that small framework, there's only a certain level of complexity that most movies can attain. And he's trying to figure out, how do I get more into a movie without, expanding it to 3, 4, or 5 movies? And he's just finding new and different ways to do that. And there's a difference between a movie that's confusing and you're like, that's not worth it and I don't want to go back to it, and a movie that's confusing and you're like, now I want to understand, now I want to re-engage. And I think Tenet definitely is that movie.
If I could, one more analogy I'd make, maybe some other people can relate to, is I kind of view this movie the same way as like a tightly packed golf course, where there's like 4 holes all within like really close distance to one another, and they're all separate. So you've got these separate streams of thought going on, but in a way they're like right next to each other. So you might accidentally hit your shot to the right and have to play from the other hole, and people are crisscrossing paths all over the place, and it can be chaotic. And that's kind of how I felt about this movie, that everything was, there were several streams of thought and action going on, and they just kept on crossing paths, and you would see something and go, oh, that happened. Oh, I remember that from earlier in the movie. And that just happened over and over and over again as the movie was going on.
So let's get into a few more minor spoilers and talk about things. So if you don't want to know anything about the substance of the movie, you can skip over this.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
So what were some specific things that you really liked about the movie?
I really enjoyed the chemistry between John David Washington and Robert Pattinson. Um, I've not seen Robert Pattinson in a whole lot, and obviously, apparently unfairly, he's shoehorned into his Twilight role because everyone will remember him for that for all time. And the actor I saw, I was very impressed with his performance. Another thing that really stood out to me, and I just mentioned earlier, was just the way the story is woven together with certain parts coming back in different ways. I don't want to give specifics, but there are several moments like that in the movie that I really enjoyed. And the cinematography was top notch, and I'm completely unsurprised by that. I expect that at bare minimum from a Christopher Nolan movie. So I do need to see it a few more times, I think, before I decide where it is in my list of Christopher Nolan movies. But I feel like it's pretty high up already, and I'm really interested to see how I feel after watching it a couple more times.
Yeah, I think the highlights for me were the effects of time inversion. You have bullets flying backwards and damage being undone. You have cars flipping and reversing and then driving, like having been wrecked and then come back and rolling backwards. The ending battle sequence with troops moving in normal time and troops moving in inverse was just a sight to behold. I mean, you have buildings literally falling down, coming back up, and being exploded again. You've got whole chunks of wall coming back into a building. You have troops going in reverse while coming. I mean, it's sheer chaos, but it's a visual bonanza. It's so cool to watch.
I thought one of the really interesting film techniques too, as well, was you could tell that several of the sequences were filmed with the actors moving backwards, and then the recording was played forward, and that was just like it's unsettling to watch because it looks so unnatural, but it was intentional. So it's really interesting to see that effect too, because it speaks to the seriousness of being practical about how the movie was filmed.
Yeah, and he used so few computer graphics and those type of special effects, even to the point of like literally blowing up a jumbo jet. And there's something about that scene that just looks different because it's real. And you're just not used to seeing real. Okay. So I wrote up a full review of Tenet that you can find at filmforfans.com. So make sure you head to the website and check it out and read a full breakdown of what we think about the movie. So Rob, let's move on to our last element. What's coming up this week? What are you intended on seeing this week?
I am, like I said, I'm hoping to go see a couple movies that have been out for a while already. I would like to go see the New Mutants because I haven't seen that yet. If there's some place I can watch Bill and Ted Face the Music, I would like to watch that, and if not, I might just order it to my house because I'm very interested in seeing that. And like I said, The Secrets We Keep, I'm hoping to see. I might not have an opportunity to see it before our next podcast, but I am planning on seeing it while it is out. Hopefully it'll be out for at least a week and I have a chance to go see it.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to try and check out Bill and Ted Face the Music. I'm headed to the beach later this week, so I may only get one in. So I'm going to try and make it Bill and Ted Face the Music. But we'll see. we'll see what comes up. I'm going with some family, so I'm hoping to maybe show some good movies that the rest of my family hasn't seen. So
yeah,
I'm hoping I can get a few of them into some movies this week.
That is the best part about being a big movie fan is watching someone else see a movie that you love that they don't know about yet.
Yeah, it's fantastic, especially if it's a great movie that they haven't seen. Like getting to watch a fantastic movie with somebody who hasn't seen it just makes you enjoy it all over again.
All right, we got anything else?
I think we're good for today. So, thank you guys for tuning into the Film for Fans podcast. If you're listening to us, rate us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe. We're on all the major podcast channels, or if you prefer video, YouTube. Check out our YouTube channel. And read our reviews at filmforfans.com. We've got a couple of articles up on there now, and we're going to continue to do some more writing and some more reviews as movies come out. So thanks for checking us out, and enjoy the movies.
Snow caps are the best candy, and if you disagree, you're wrong.
What? All right.